How's it going, everyone? Welcome to your 15th show in a row. No, it feels like that way sometimes. Some days I'm like, man, I've been streaming, been putting in that energy, putting in that work. From time to time, people tend to do that on this chain we call Pulse. Hope everyone's doing great out there today. Excited for this one. Again, there's not too many projects I follow or pay attention to on PulseChain. I'm really into the tech again, as the canonical. I don't know where Fast Abdul is right now with the in it for the tech chat text, but yeah, I think some of these are pretty. Some of the projects on here, again, more intellectually interesting to me than others, and again, they have all these different pieces to it. Like this one, we'll get into. Covered it once before. I had Jacob on before talking about GameFi and mafia and all that fun stuff, but yeah, we got about 3 people on today. We got not only Jacob, but we also got Gifford Ware and Colt DeFi is joining us today. And whether you're playing the game, whether you're not playing the game, again, I'm not a gamer. I'm just interested in like a lot of the mechanics. And there are these niches that I think are valuable to PulseChain that I hope we can attract people on with and turn out to be successful projects. So without further ado, welcome to the show for the first time, Colt, and back to the show, Gifford Ware and Jacob. How's it going, gents?
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the nice intro, RHMax.
Are we gonna get into the weeds today? You guys think we're gonna get into the weeds?
I hope so. There's some stuff I'm interested to find out too.
Me and Colt are gonna be fighting over who can ask the questions, who can like host the thing. I like it. That's why we're at the top right now. There you go. We can direct things down to the techies down there too. But I'm sure actually, let's start off with that question for Colt too. What got you into, I don't know, the like mafia, the Jacob verse, the different interesting stuff going on? Maybe even into the PulseChain. Curious, I haven't heard your story before.
So I think during the last bull market, I always kind of knew about crypto, but I never really delved into it. I was, running a business, and it took up all my time. And then the last bull market, I started to see a few things on YouTube, talking about crypto, and I came across a Randy Hilarski, a live stream, and he was talking about Hex, and I thought, what is this, like a certificate deposit on chain? All these massive APYs, and I thought, okay, well, I'll have to have a look at this. And you know what it's like. I mean, I went down the rabbit hole, and I never came out. Right, I'm not out yet. And during that time, when there was a lot of sacrifices going on, I saw sacrifices for PulsePot, which is Jacob's first project, and I started to hang around in the community and get to know some of the guys, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Really, started to see where I could pitch in and help out. Really. Because one of the things that I'm going to say this, and I hope I'm not going to embarrass you a bit, Jacob, but I'm really interested in the tech that Jacob builds, because it's always kind of like a first of its kind. It's not just a fork of a project and do this sort of thing. He likes to think outside the box, and he likes to build things from scratch, literally with a piece of paper and a pen at the start, and it sort of grows from there. And I like that. I'm definitely, I'm not a builder myself or anything like that, but I can really appreciate the tech that on blockchain and some of the things that Jacob is coming around with. I mean, it amazes me, and from what I hear talking to other people, it seems to amaze them too. So I mean, we're definitely in the right place, I think.
Nice. Yeah, that's and it's a great segue too into Jacob. Maybe we can just remind people again, like what is this the game that you've been working on over quite a few months or so now, and have been releasing, if I understand, like your iterative pieces and upgrades along the way. Like, kind of get people just an intro to the platform.
Absolutely. So I've been working on this game for 10 years, and that is may sound strange, but that is the truth. This game was a game that I played myself 10 years ago, actually 15 years ago. And when I played it, I knew that one day I would build this in a better version, and I would build it how it's supposed to be. This game that I'm building existed 15 years ago, and it still exists today in Web 2, which shows its durability, it shows its popularity, and it shows that it works. People like games. Games collect, all types of people, young, old, different interests, different genders. It kind of puts everyone into a hot pot because it's just entertainment and it is social-fi and it's everything in a single hotpot. I have been a product architect for 20 years now, roughly. And when I saw this game 15 years ago, I knew that one day I would sit here and build it how it's supposed to be done. It took me some time to get here, but the timing was right, the opportunity was right, and more importantly, the market had matured to a point where it was even possible to execute. Because all of the flaws that I saw in that old game was basically that everyone was playing simply for the social-fi aspect of it, for the just to win for winning, so they could tell their friends that they were the best player. But I knew that I wanted to include some more significant incentives to this game, and obviously blockchain and the merging of basically money and gaming with blockchain games just elevates this opportunity to a level that has never seen before, in my opinion. And we will dive deeper into where I implemented those changes at one point in doing this stream. But obviously, the vault is one of them. This game that started 15 years ago, people are still playing it to this date, and they have not earned a single dollar. They do it because they love it. They do it because it gives them purpose, it gives them human interaction, and it gives them something they like to do and dive into. But the game that I'm building will also pay your wage at the meantime. And that is the true innovation that I bring to the table. And that's why I'm building what I'm doing. Obviously, I like to say that I want to help PulseChain, and I truly do. But what I really want is to build something incredible that humans will enjoy for 20 years to come.
I mean, got the founder perspective. I mean, great one from Colt too, kind of entering it and just be interested in your work. I mean, it naturally would flow to GIF here to be like, why are you a player? Why are you the number one? I want to say team, not team, the number one family in the mafia game.
Well, I guess we'll start with just like my interest and like how I found it. And essentially it was when Jacob had launched PulsePot. Way back then, there was actually a group of guys I used to, some of them influencers I used to hang out with a lot. And we went and we would check out PulsePot as the deployment was coming out and such. So that's how I kind of, caught wind of Jacob and his ecosystem. And I just kind of monitored it as it went along. But it wasn't until, what was this, over the summer, I think it was, is when, I caught the early stages of the Mafia game. And it was when I looked at the first transaction, which I think it was me creating my character. I think when I looked at the transaction and saw it on chain, I was like, okay, wait a minute. So this is a real game. This is a real game on the blockchain. This is kind of something I've been waiting for a long time. I mean, I myself have been a gamer for my entire life, right? So I've been infatuated with crypto for going on 10 years, not to date myself, but going on 10 years now. And it just kind of came together for me, and it's been awesome.
So what makes people, maybe this innovation structure too, again, a lot of people see this, they're like, okay, it's a game. Why do I want to play a game? It's got a token, is this just token in game duct tape thing? Like what is the incentivization for being a player and for, being good at the game?
Oh, is this for me? Okay. Well, I mean, this is going to be one of the games that is going to be known as play to earn, right? This will allow people to actually spend time within a game and, creating strategies and executing these strategies and actually earning in-game cash, which even as it currently stands is you are able to withdraw into crypto or the Mafia token and do with however you like. So that kind of transition of going from an in-game asset that you can win to real crypto, which you can withdraw, it's like not a small feat there. In the way that needs to be designed to be effective, it can be difficult, and Jacob's doing a fantastic job. And I think that's kind of the secret sauce right there in the reason why a lot of players are going to come to this game.
Absolutely. Gifford, Kyle is one of the best guys to really put words on what we're doing. I feel like sometimes probably even better than me. And that's also why I just like him to answer the questions, honestly. but obviously, I will
he can answer some.
I will obviously put my input as well. Building a game that's interesting to people and to a broad spectrum of people needs to have a lot of different things, right? Some are here for purely, turn X amount of money to even more money. Others are here to have a great experience and maybe get a little bit out of it in the meanwhile. And others may be here for entirely other reasons, meeting people or whatever it might be. And I want to build a platform that encapsulates all of that. And I want to build a game where you don't need to be a part of a big group to be successful. You can be on your entire own and do your own thing. And you can actually, as long as you play clever, you can definitely both make it a great and fun experience, but also ultimately get some dollars out of it. What I see in gaming development is that blockchain is truly, for some games though, is a perfect match to blockchain and the way that we can include money into a game. And what we have done with the token, as you said, a duct tape on token, obviously I understand where that comes from, but in this case it is the direct opposite. What we have done is that we have built kind of a protected game with an inside ecosystem, and then we have an entirely token trading outside of the ecosystem. We have a tax on that token, which kind of fuels all of the capital that the players can fight over, right? Which is the vault we are looking at here. So as it currently stands, we have 7.2 billion PLS in this vault. This vault will eventually be a automated smart contract that will pay out the best families or the highest ranked players on an automated weekly schedule, essentially making it so that you are earning a weekly wage as long as you are within that top part of the game. So with this new blockchain era of gaming, we can do stuff like this, right? Because previously what you had to do, even if there was a prize, like very few games even have a prize except just the prize being the entertainment, right? Or winning some aesthetic item. But in this case here, we are actually able to justify that this can become something you can spend not only your time, attention, but also your money on. Because if you treat that well and you're clever about it, there is factual money right there that needs to be distributed. And the vault is just the top of the iceberg, because underneath this vault, you'll probably find, as a cult likes to call it, 50 different ways of actually earning money. You definitely don't need to be a top player with deep pockets invested in the game to earn money. You can do so incredibly many other things that will earn you US dollars in the game. Essentially, what you will end up doing is you will take risks, you will spend your time, your attention, and what we trade for that is basically in-game inflation. And as long as you're able to outplay that inflation by making the right choices, you will be a successful player. And then it's up to you if you want to take that result you get and withdraw it from the game, or you want to reinvest it into potentially taking a bigger slice of the cake every time. And I truly believe that when I look at the market for blockchain games, as Giff would probably tell you, is that most of these are not really on chain. because that truly limits you in a significant way. It is really hard to build a blockchain game that doesn't kill you on gas or transaction fees, as we saw with Axie Infinity or CryptoKitties, right? At one point, the entire Ethereum chain was so clogged up with people trying to move their kitty or whatever it was, so that you had to pay $200 just to click a button, right? And imagine you had a game where you had to step to the right or step to left or fire a gun or whatever, and all of that had to be on chain. This is what we consider the separation of concerns, as GIF likes to put it, right? Where some parts needs to be on chain. When you're dealing with money, when you're dealing with significant values, they need to be on chain. But you can easily have aesthetic nuances that are quite irrelevant, but just exist in your perception of the game, which we will simply just serve as from a centralized host. Mafia game is completely perfectly designed to be able to live under this umbrella, simply because it's not a game like Dota or Counter-Strike or Fortnite. It is what we back in the day would call a MMORPG, a text-based MMORPG. So it's like a strategy text-based game where you do actions solely in text, right? As we call it back in Web 2. And that opens up a whole variety of opportunity, such as how easy you can access the game mechanics, right? You could be at a bus stop, you could be on the toilet, you could be at your mom's house, you could be at a party, and you could do the single most significant action in the game, maybe killing someone or doing something extremely significant, and everything is available straight from your phone, right? That's
you could be
powerful.
installing a bidet. Man,
You could be installing a bidet and fully managing everything, right? You are the arbiter of how much time you put into it. You decide when you put your attention towards it. But it doesn't require a massive gaming PC setup where you sit there with your mouse and keyboard and is fully involved, right? You can jump in and out of it at an entirely different way. And that is just much more powerful than what people really realize, I think. And that was also initially what really turned me on with this game, was how, even though how simple it is, you will get sucked into it at a very deep level, basically because the way that we are going to design all of the time delays, you will end up, and this is my personal speculation, but significant players, and I'm not kidding you, significant players will end up constructing their real life based on the timing delays in my contracts for this game. So imagine you had an extremely important action you could only perform once an hour, right? And you need to perform that action on the time slot, because if you don't, you're falling behind to someone who is doing that. Well, I'm going to promise you right now that people are going to construct their daily routines around those time slots, simply because the money will be so significant here that it wouldn't make any sense for you not to do it like that. I myself did that when I was playing this game 15 years ago. I did these actions before I left to go to school, right? And when I arrived at school, the first thing I did was do the action again, because otherwise I was falling behind. So I was already constructing my daily life around these time delays. That is how powerful and immersive the game will eventually become. And that was even without having a financial incentive. Imagine when you're having a $20,000 payout weekly, maybe. Well, then you're surely gonna construct your everyday life around these time delays. And that's going to be extremely interesting to see how it works out.
Well, speaking, you mentioned too about the, we got a few questions and we'll get to them in just a minute in chat. Appreciate you, chat. About it's a Colt knows 50 ways to make money in the game, something around that nature. You want to go over just a few of those? I think that'll give people kind of a tangible idea around that.
Absolutely. And I can give you a factual overview on how it will work. So there are different ways of earning in-game cash in the system. You can either attempt to rob the protocol, which is basically just core level inflation, or you can attempt to rob someone else's assets They're maybe from their business items or something that is user owned. But if we start with the protocol part, we will have at least 10 raid spots, meaning that they will have different difficulty levels, and they will have different possible outcomes. And basically, the better a character you have, a higher rank character plus some RNG and some other stuff, will determine your success rate on these protocol raids, which also have a time delay, obviously, so that the inflation doesn't run rampant. So imagine that let's say we have a strip club, for instance, right? And you as a user can rob it every 24 hours. But it requires item A, it requires you to work together in a lobby with another user, and it has an RNG where if you fail, you basically lose the items you put forward in an attempt to rob it. Maybe that's a gun or a car or whatever. But if you succeed, you'll get paid in-game inflation because, well, you robbed the strippers for their cash, right? So imagine that, but just with 20 different themes that runs on separate time delay schedules. So the more active you are, the more often you can rob the protocol. And I always like to think it as if everyone was friends in this game, which they will never be. Everyone would literally just be on their own path, just exploiting the protocol inflation, just robbing it. But the thing is, people will always be people. They are human, they have greed, they have all sorts of things. And they will eventually try to steal that capital from each other instead of being good friends and just steal from the protocol. And that is truly when the magic happens. When users start trying to obstruct each other, kill each other, steal their money, which is the absolute most risky but also the most rewarding feature in the entire game, is that, you know, GIF could decide he has a maybe some sort of debate with someone on Telegram, and he is in an emotional state, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to kill you, right? And he goes on and he fires some bullets, and everything goes well for him. And now that wallet is blacklisted from the game forever because the wallet died, and GIF resumed or took over all of that player's assets. So it is, in some way, would call it like legal stealing almost, because you're taking another man's assets, but you're doing within the realm of the game, part of the rules, part of the DeFi, right? And that is such a profound innovation, implementing that into a game where you can literally steal someone else's money, perfectly legal, and nobody can do anything about it. I think that is so beautiful, and it's so appealing to so many people that we truly haven't really understood yet how powerful that metric is going to be.
I think, let me just take it to another level too. It's way more honest, believe it or not. Like, that's a more honest way to approach, earning a living in crypto. Like, I mentioned this in a previous stream, but let's not get it mistaken. Like, you could get into a project that you think is going to be great, right? And then it gets rugged, or there's some sort of flaw in the code or whatnot. And every dollar that you put in invested, or every crypto you put in invested, goes to zero. It's essentially the same thing, except for we're all going to be abiding by the rules of the game. And it's all going to be on a level playing field. And it's going to be up to you and your family, or if you want to, work this by yourself, how you're going to exactly play this game. But, I think one of the things that scares a lot of people is when they hear, oh, I could be, my character can be killed in this game. And I like to say, don't get it twisted. You can get killed in crypto too. It just looks differently, and it's probably a lot less honest.
Yeah, I love that analogy, honestly, because it's so true. Buying any meme coin or whatever it is essentially probably a bigger risk than running around with no protection and your bank account full of cash and mafia, right? And just while you're looking at this page here, Max, I would like to just briefly comment on it. This is the vault, which is kind of a cornerstone of the game because that is the financial incentive for players. One of them, at least, probably the biggest one. And we have built here a chart to visualize where is all of this money coming from. And one thing that is so underlooked, in my opinion, is the fact that the protocol owns this money. This is not owed to anyone, right? Imagine you have a liquid loans DeFi. Well, all of that money that in there is someone who owns it, right? Who's expecting to get it back. And any other yield product or a yield Ponzi or whatever, Titan X, call it what you want, all of the money that goes in is someone who expects to get more than they put in back, right? That's obviously how that works. But in this case here, that 7.2 billion, that is purely earned from utility. All of that money comes from fees that a user willingly pays so that they can increase their chances of playing the game successfully. This is a piece of utility. You know, when you can have a vault that has that amount of PLS purely from a fee taken that users willingly pay without any expectation of getting anything back, nobody owes that amount, right? The protocol owns it. And that is just such an undervalued aspect here that I don't think really people can really grasp that, because every time in crypto when you see a big amount of money deposited, it's simply because it's owed to someone and someone expects to get that, right? I understand that people expect to get a participation of the vault, but it's no guarantee for anyone because there comes a lot of work and a lot of strategy before you'll ever reach that anyways. So just looking at here, we can see the charts. They visualize to the users, well, where's this money coming from, right? So the yellow one is the trading of the token. So all of the speculators outside of the entire game, they're buying and selling. Well, we are taking a tax percentage of that so that we get 4% of the buy and 16% of the sell, and that goes into the vault, right? So if you want to speculate on this token, well, you're paying the players now, right? Then we have the red one, which is the keys. It's actually not, it is the item crates, but it is actually the key metrics. And that is when people want to put capital in the game and buy what we call keys that will essentially allow you to boost your character in different ways, right? And then we have the land crate and the marketplace. And the marketplace is a NFT marketplace where it earns a fee based on the selling successful trading of items, right? And as Colt has mentioned probably a lot of time, that I don't think there's that many marketplaces on PulseChain that has successfully sold more than $350,000 Benjamins of actual value, right? So just having that as such a impressive metric just inside our little game here is to me quite astonishing. This vault here is so undervalued in so many ways, and I can't wait to see it go to $1, $2, maybe even $5 million, and at that point it will almost be like a news headline for media outlets, because what game in the world has ever offered in a decentralized payout way $5 million to the best players? I have never heard about it, that's for sure. So I think this in itself will become such an powerful marketing metric, and will be once again a world's first, because that's what I like to build, frankly.
Yeah, looking at the PLS is interesting because it's just, right now it says around $350,000. A 10x from there, if you believe Pulse is going to do a 10x, only $3.5 million. And then do you all feel like, is that one of the main, built-in marketing pieces for the game too, is, hey, if PulseChain is successful, PLS price goes up, the vault is worth more. Now people, instead of looking at, oh, do I want a piece of $500,000? Do I want a piece of millions of dollars?
Absolutely. Actually, one thing that is a little bit unfortunate sometimes, and humans will always be humans. All of this money here could have been in the chart, right? Because all of this tax is essentially money taken out of the chart. In this vault, it is 5 times larger than the entire liquidity pool at this point, right? So we could have had the single most insane gains and green candles if we wanted to. But I knew that that is just superficial, short-sighted trash. I don't want to attract the people that comes in on a green candle and leaves on the next red one. I want to build this with a sound foundation, and the only way to do that was doing it this way. I understand that green candles are interesting, and to be honest, I get shocked every time how powerful it actually is. I could pump, 1% of my wealth into this project, and we would have 10 times as many eyes on it as we have today. And that's horrible. That's so wrong, because that didn't change anything except one speculator thinking that he's going to turn a buck. What we're doing here is so much more. Well, I would like to say it's a smarter way of slowly gaining the momentum instead of just having these green candle impressions. Even though I admit they are so powerful, and it's almost disgusting how powerful green candles can be sometimes. It actually breaks my heart sometimes as a builder.
Got a couple of questions in the chat I want to get to as well. Mr. Scotty, what sort of changes should we expect to the exchange since it went offline today?
The exchange didn't go offline. The convert feature did. And I guess I can comment a little bit on this. So what I realized is that as we humans, we like a little bit of a gamble sometimes. What happened was that instead of going to the exchange office and depositing capital to buy in-game cash, people essentially would rather want to take an RNG chance of winning big, and if they didn't win big, well, they could convert it to the cash anyways, right? So what we saw was the funds got funneled basically through the wrong way around that I initially wanted it to, and as a result of that, the vault got the money and the team got the money. Well, that's nice for me, but I really don't need it. I would rather have it in the chart at this point. So what I did was I took the exchange down, and now people are forced to go through basically depositing capital, and it on the behind here, you can see that it says PLS, but whatever capital you use, it will be automatically exchanged into the mafia token, and then basically exchanged for the cash. So that is a massive fundamental for the token itself. So today I made this change, and it's already showing how powerful that small little change actually is, right? But there's so many nuances to it, because obviously when you move capital entrance from the keys over to basically through the exchange, we as a team are earning less, but the entire protocol and all of the ecosystem and all of the participants are earning more. And that is such an important balance for us to manage, because what nobody wants here is us as a team not having the funds to complete the game, because then nobody's going anywhere, right? but at the same time, we also want to balance in it a way where we as a team don't take too much of the capital income out, so that people don't get this green candle euphoria, right? It's a very important balance to have. But what you're not going to see me ever do is take 1.5 billion to copy a product. I promise you that.
Another question. This guy's got a few questions here. Do we expect to see more use cases for the Mafia token apart from staking it in businesses and the MP?
Obviously, yes. Absolutely. I don't know how much I want to comment on that, because what this guy is going for is, should I buy right now or not, right? That's basically the answer he's looking for. And obviously I know what I'm going to do, but the more that I tell what I'm going to do, the more someone can benefit from that. And I'm really not interested in that right now, because I want this slow organic rollout where everything comes in the pace that it needs to come. I could sit here and give you, as RH always said, I could give you all, I could tell you all of these bullish things about the Mafia token. I'm going to do this, that, and the other, right? I'm going to basically imagine I could make a simple change today that would boost the chart so hard you would never imagine. If I decided to change all of the key income to basically on the behind swap into the mafia token and straight deposit that, that means from now on that every single key that would be sold would literally be forced to buy the token and burn it. Like the token would literally 50x tomorrow, probably. It should at least, right? So no, I'm not gonna sit here and tell what I'm gonna do. You can speculate as much as you want, but trust that I have a lot of plans around Mafia, and that's all I'm gonna say about it.
Cool. Can you tell us Jacob's plans since he won't tell us?
I can't. I can't tell Jacob's plans. Number one, because I don't know them. But one of the things that Jacob is very conscious of with this game, obviously, is it takes time to build something right, and it takes time to build something for longevity. I remember Jacob mentioned on the stream right in the very beginning of all of this. Gif, I think you were there too. There's absolutely no reason why this can't go on for a significant amount of time. And I mean, I'm potentially talking decades. As long as there are players, as long as players will come and go, families will come and go. As long as there's appetite to play the game, and because there's so many ways to earn money and real money, like we keep saying, if Pulse does a 10x, then that vault is automatically paying out $350,000 a week. Right, if Pulse does 100x at whatever stage, and no matter how far down the line, then the vault is paying out, millions of dollars every week. I think getting things right at this very early stage is absolutely crucial and key. And I totally, I mean, I would love, obviously, to know all the ins and outs of the plans that are coming up, not for my own personal greed, but just because, I'd like to be privy to some of that information. But I absolutely trust Jacob and where he's going with this, and I think we're building something here. If we talk about the onboarding part, I've actually sort of alluded to, when people absolutely see the amounts of money that are being earned in this game, and the fact that it's on multiple chains also. I mean, it's all eyes on PulseChain. It's fantastic for PulseChain.
Yeah, I just quickly want to comment on what Colt said there. I have purposely constructed the people around me and our team in a way where we protect information quite significantly. Nobody on the team except me and the absolute core knows what's going to happen. Colt doesn't know anything you don't know. Like, it's literally where we are. No admin, nobody knows anything. Because the moment that leaks, you would have speculators taking advantage of the protocol, and they would be, just here for turning a buck. And that's not what I want to do. So we are protecting this information extremely well for a good reason. And that is very important as we are in this pre-game phase where stuff changes all the time. In this pre-game phase, any decision I make will make someone a lot of money and lose someone else a lot of money, right? Simply because they speculated on what I'm going to do. And that is the reality right now. Someone is buying this asset on the marketplace in hopes that I do something with it that makes it more necessary or whatever, right? So it's extremely important that we have this very protected circle around the strategy, the upcoming development stages, and exactly what kind of metrics we're going to use to design the game. Because otherwise, we would just see that speculators would take advantage of it. So nobody knows anything except me and 4 other people.
And GIF. But he ain't saying.
Well, that's right. I mean, come on. I know what's about to happen. But if you don't mind, I want to point something out real quick, because there's a lot of cool things on this website, and I don't know how much time we're going to have. And so I'm going to take over for just a second. Would you mind going to the exchange real quick for me? Going back to the exchange where you were, and then click on the withdrawal button. So this is something super interesting. And I kind of want to pick Jacob's brain a little bit on this. I've talked about this before on a previous stream, but there's this really, and this kind of relates back to the question that was just posed. There's this really interesting dance that is taking place between the in-game cash and the Mafia token. What you're looking at right now is essentially a price chart of the value of per $1 in-game cash. So that's the 4029, and essentially the way that number is derived. And correct me if I'm wrong. is essentially the ratio right now is say 1 to 46. So you just take 1 divided by 46 times the price of Mafia, and it gives you an actual value of the in-game cash. So what's happening here is this is really cool. And when I first caught wind of this, I was asking Jacob, I was like, is this basically like a decentralized DEX? So it's a DEX, but it's all one-sided limit orders. So essentially, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that all the positions there are people trying to exit their in-game cash and get into the Mafia token. So what you're seeing there is you're seeing the size of their request of in-game cash, and then it'll also show you a gauge on how much is being filled. So if you see the very top one, which is the highest ratio at 1/55.4, you see that there's a little bit of the order has been filled already, and you'll see even more below that. So the super interesting thing is that there's going to be mechanics that I'm guessing and speculating that is going to balance these two ratios. And in return, this is going to allow inflation and deflation to happen of the in-game cash to either bolster or cool off the in-game economy. And my question to Jacob is this something that is constantly on your mind? Am I close to what you kind of envision of the dance between these two assets would look like?
Well, it's a good question. First of all, the development of this function here was extremely important for the entire narrative of play and earn. Because if you couldn't really earn on all of the actions by exiting what you're actually earning, then kind of the narrative shrinks. What the initial issue I had, and something I quite early on realized, was that the protocol must never decide the US dollar price of the in-game cash. It needs to be only the users who are earning it who sells it. Because I could have easily built this in a way where anyone who wanted to go click the buy button, we just inflated them in-game cash, and hallelujah, on we go, right? But if you really think it through, what would be the result of that, right? That would be me taking away all of your hard work just through inflation. So by forcing users to put up a limit sell order with a price attached, we are now actually allowing those who spent their time and spend all of doing these actions, they are the ones who are selling it to all of the new onboards, right? And when imagine that someone drops a purchase order of Mafia token for $100,000, right? Obviously, these ratios here are fixed. So in that case, those who put up these ratios would probably need to go in and cancel them and re-add them, because otherwise, one side of this just gained a lot of value. But since it's not a pool give, they would be completely out of order, right? You would now actually be pricing way too high, right? Because in this case, you can see in the top one here, he's asking 84,000 Mafia. But what happens if Mafia 10x's while he has this liquidity position going on, right? Well, it's probably not going to fill, because then he's asking a little bit too much, right? But at the same time, because it is, as you say, they're kind of having a dance together, because people are not automatically updating these. So they will essentially move together, at least on the short term, until people then go in and update them, right? And that probably goes for both ways, I think, because we could be in a scenario where, imagine there's a massive family war and top, 50% of the game dies, 50% of the high-end players dies. You have no idea how much deflation just happened. Like, it's going to be absolutely stunning. We are talking every asset, map tiles, in-game cash, everything just burned, out of existence. And now it needs to be re-earned through attention and strategy once more. So when war happens, everyone wins except those who die, right? Or and those who obviously come out on the good side of a war, right? But this entire protocol needs war to be successful, because that is the deflationary mechanics of it. When people spend bullets to kill someone, when people do something because they want to get ahead or they want to be better than someone else, that's when we win. And everything I do is an attempt to design that so humans can have that enjoyable experience of being the boss, being the king, being the one who makes the decision who lives and dies. Humans have enjoyed that power for hundreds and thousands of years, and today is no different. I'm just building a game where everything is visualized so well that it essentially will become a psychological powerhouse with money dribbled on top. And I truly believe that this path we're going down here with you already see it now in the Telegram that people are constantly fighting over nothing burgers, even, right, giving out death threats left, right, and center, and whatnot, right. It's like I already can see where this is going. I have not a sliver of a doubt in my mind that people act on emotion, and they will spend unfathomable amount of money to just be right, or just to be the one to say, hey, I was the bigger guy. That is what this entire game is about. It's about status, and it's about strategy, and it's about being at the top of the food chain. And it's really going to be interesting to see how much havoc and how much chaos, how many tears, how much betrayal. All of these things in one hot pot will come together, and it will create the best Web3 game we have ever seen. At least that's what I'm working extremely hard to achieve.
That's awesome. Like, yeah,
That really is awesome.
I just want to sprinkle a little bit of gunpowder on that fire there. Can you go ahead and click on the view all buy orders for me there, Max? Okay, so down here we see that there's a user, and then we see a whole lot of protocol buying. Can you kind of explain, Jacob, a little bit what's going on there? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so basically, all of the capital that the game earns from different fees, might be the tax token on trading on the market, it might be the key purchases, it might be the marketplace fees. Basically, every single piece of utility that earns capital, we are splitting it in three ways. 70% goes to the vault, and 28% goes to purchasing up the cheapest liquidity that the users are willing to sell, and 2% is deposited into a marketing DAO fund. So in this case here, the protocol purchases are basically whenever someone does something that creates a capital fee, and then the protocol goes in and say, hey, I have, you can look at the total USD values on the right side, but hey, I have $23 available, and I'm just going to automatically purchase up the cheapest position offered by a user, essentially creating an automated exit for anyone who wants to exit for whatever reason they have, right? So even though that we don't have a way like a pool where someone can just say, hey, I want to sell right now, no matter the price, we have built it in a way where all of the activity is actually supporting anyone who wants to exit, because we are generating a true, basically a true purchase power for everyone to exit. And I know what's going to happen when true adoption, lands here. If we are going to onboard the next X Infinity crowd, right? This page here is going to not say $2.64. It's going to be $2,000.64 that someone just purchased of some user who had it listed for the cheapest price, right? And all of these positions are going to get eaten up like it was nothing.
And then what does the protocol do with the cash it buys up?
It returns it to the seller, right? No, sorry,
not
the
the
cash. Oh,
mafia.
the cash. Yeah. So the protocol obviously hands over the mafia token that someone spent or whatever to the seller, but the cash gets burned, right? So that is just a part of the deflationary mechanic that is in the game. One of 50 probable, if not more, right? We have so many inflationary mechanics, and we have even more deflationary mechanics, and this is one of them. We are essentially taking cash from players by automatically paying it for the cash and then just burning it. So it's such a important change that I realized during the development. A lot of these things I'm doing, I'm not claiming that I have, kind of this master book that I'm just following. A lot of these things is epiphanies, or things that I realized during development, or something that I realized by seeing how different players interact with what I build. Or sometimes it can come from many places, but one of these things was simply something that I realized when I was looking very deeply into the economic balance and the tokenomics that we were using, that we need this. We need to start splitting up the income from the protocol. We cannot continue spending 100% of the capital on just depositing it into the vault, because essentially what that would mean is that we only pay the top dogs, right? And then we leave 95% of the players without possibility to actually earn. But with this here, now we are starting to take care of people who are slightly below in the ecosystem, that are not necessarily top dogs. This feature here means that someone can go and create a profile, do a simple action, earn the in-game cash, and sell it immediately and exit. So this feature 100% fully supports the play to earn narrative.
Awesome.
Are you all not entertained? This is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good technical deep dive. One more if we move on to the land, because I definitely want to talk about that too. But 30 seconds or so, like, how can people get started with this if they're interested? Minimum fee, all that, real quick.
There's one for you, Colt.
Yeah, so the only barrier to entry in this game is to create a character, right? You create a character by spending 2,000 mafia tokens. On PulseChain right now, I think it's around $2.50, right? So get your mafia token, create your character, literally on the first page. You can choose a character name up to 14 letters long. You can choose what part of the world that they're in, and then you can choose the sex of that character. Once you do that, you're in game. That's it. And then you can actually start, you can start building up an inventory, maybe by purchasing keys like we just saw. The more keys you buy through the exchange, you actually get a discount on those keys also. So you're getting more bang for your buck. Or you can have a look on the in-game marketplace. There's a lot of people right now that are selling items on the marketplace, and actually, technically, I mean, the game has kind of already started for those players, because they're literally just opening crates with the keys, and then they're selling them on the in-game marketplace to other players. So you can actually build up your inventory for, you can get some really good deals, build it up for not an expensive price at the moment. But really, if you think about it, like Jacob was saying, you can create your character for 2,000 mafia, $2.50. When the game goes live, then you can do these heists, depending on how often you can do them, every hour or every day. And then you can literally convert that in-game cash back into mafia token through the exchange, and you can exit. I mean, you could technically spend your 2,000 mafia tokens, start playing the game, doing all these heists, rank up your character, all just for the price of 2,000 mafia, and you can take away regular good money from this game in the process. It's amazing.
Yes. One thing I would like to comment on that is, while it's true that the price is 2,000 mafia to create a profile, that is something that's going to change in the future. And the reason for that is that we are not going to make the same mistake that Axie Infinity did. As anytime you bind a fixed token, a speculative token, to a piece of functionality, the more successful you are, you end up building a higher barrier to entry, right? And that is a mistake, because at some point you're going to throttle the adoption so much that nobody can come and play. So obviously, I know that right now that the token needs to like 100x before that probably becomes a problem. But who wants to pay $500 just to get started, right? We don't want that. So what I want is to never fix anything that has with the speculative part of the token to do. So, for instance, the staking amount of the map tiles might be a dynamic value. The creation of the profile might become a dynamic value. So that we basically protect this ecosystem, even though we enjoy the massive amounts of success. And that was a very big problem for Axie Infinity, right? Because it became such a big success that even the starting animal cost you like $500, right? And that is a scenario I don't want to find ourselves in. And I understand if someone thinks, well, isn't it bullish that when the price goes up, well, hey, you need to be early to get it cheap, and then everyone else later on will have to pay the big buck. Well, in some ways, yes, but I think it hurts your project more than it actually benefits it. So over time, all of the places you see there's a fixed amount of mafia, I'm going to figure out a smart way of changing that so it will never hinder adoption, but still enjoy the benefits of basically the scarcity and the necessity for the mafia token. Because obviously, as I've been saying before, that it's almost too much how much emphasis people put on the green candle technology of the token, right? That is almost what drives 90% of people, unfortunately. But obviously, even I have to adapt to facts, and I have to adapt to the market. So, we will build many, many incredible ways that this token should, in theory, go up in accordance with adoption, right? More players and all of that. But I'm very aware that we cannot use a speculative token with any fixed amount, because that will end in a problem. So obviously we are learning from the mistakes of previous projects. We have to, otherwise when success hits, we will sit there and then we will have the problem. I don't want to be in that position.
All right, take us to the metaverse. Are we in Walmart? Are we pushing buggies around? Can I knock stuff over? Can I pay without leaving? What are the what is the map? What is the map?
I think if you open Vegas, I think Giff will be able to walk you down his main streets.
Vegas. How do I get to? So I see Gary. Oh, okay. If I just click name, visit. Okay. Okay. So that was a list of the families that own. Yeah. Maybe whoever wants to take it, talk about what does it mean to own a city? What is this land grab recently, and like what is happening right now?
Well, I can comment on that, and then I think Giff will take over because he basically owns this entire map here. So, so obviously, everyone likes a bit of eye candy to look at, and a text-based games also needs something that is highly visible, and this is our attempt at doing that. Not only that, we have including a lot of really important game mechanics into this right here. I can see we have some layering problems with the trees being on top of the buildings. I just quickly have to note that and get that correction, because that is definitely not.
Some buildings have parks outside there on the balconies, so maybe it's that.
Well, the metaverse is our way of creating roughly 10,000 unique ownable tiles, where you as a mobster can basically own a street or a specific piece of land, and you can develop that land, you can build on it, you can make it a business out of it, you can earn yield from it, you can increase your profile powers, especially your defense. The families can use the map to gain the vault payout. There's a lot of different technicalities that surround this map and how the game will unfold in the long term. But this is just the V1 of the map, because all of what you're looking at here is simply aesthetics that could be upgraded or changed or improved over the next, lots of time. Because what actually matters is the contracts underneath that holds all of the features and functions. So what we did was we have in Mafia, we have 11 cities, and in these cities the mobsters can travel around and do crime. So and different cities will have different players there, and they will have different headquarters, and families will reside in some part of the world, and other families will reside in maybe in Italy or North America. So essentially we put up this update, and we had, I think, 10,000 available tiles. No, sorry, 7,000 available tiles in total. And right now, 14 days later, there's only 326 pieces of land available left. So if you don't get one of these, well, then you have to either purchase them off someone who is selling it, or you need to kill someone to take it, right? And or negotiate your way forward, right? Because you will not be able to be a significant player in this game without owning probably a tile in each city, I would say. And I think GIF would take it over from here, because he's spent so much time on this map that he at this point probably know more about the map than I do.
I don't know about that, but I'll give it a whirl. All right, so let's start by, do me a favor, Max, and go ahead, and once this loads, just go ahead and zoom out as far as you can zoom out. There you go. Okay, now I want you to go down to where it says rarity zones, the little drop down box with carrot. Yeah, click on that and go ahead and click strategic, the very top one. So each map is going to have its HQ headquarters. I saw you hovering around one prior. This is what allows a family to essentially move into a map. If you hover around, say, the yellow zone towards the bottom there, you'll next one to the left. Yeah, that one. So you hover on that. So our Gearhead family has moved into that tile. So this is going to dictate how many family members we can actually successfully have within the family, like how much space we've got to accommodate. And that's going to be important for vault payouts and that sort of thing down the road. So strategic tiles are very important. Now go ahead and let's move to the next one. Go back, click on strategic again. And common. So these are all your common tiles, and all the layouts of these maps seem kind of chaotic, but they seem very intentional. There's going to be a lot of mechanics that we don't have time on this stream to kind of go into and exactly why that's so important. But I just want to notate that the first thing that I kind of thought or went through my brain when I saw these maps is like, this is extremely chaotic, and I would, as a city planner, I would never recommend building a city like this, right? But there's a reason. There's a reason to the madness, so to speak. All right, now let's go to the next one. Switch from common to upper. Okay, you'll have to go down a little bit to see where all the upper zones. So this is like the upper east side, if you will, of Vegas. So these tiles are a little bit harder to get. They provide extra defense and a few other things. Now let's go ahead and look at the last one. Elite. So this is essentially the Vegas Strip. So this is where the hardest to obtain tiles resonate or are located, and they also provide the most defense when you activate these buildings. Now, any one of these buildings, go ahead and select on one of the cool big ones, like a mansion. You can click on it. It's going to bring you some information on the right. This is a key aspect of the game. Is in order to turn on one of these buildings that you own, you need to deposit or stake mafia within that land tile. So when you go to stake it, it actually the mafia is staked within that land tile, just like you would say an HSI, right? With the hex staked within the NFT. So that's extremely important, and I think that's going to play out in a lot of interesting ways down the road. But another cool thing is you'll see that there's a yield amount, and it's counting up. Every 24 hours, depending on what the building is and whether it's turned on or not, will dictate how much city inflation you get. So essentially, all these stakes have an ROI. And as we pointed out before, when you looked at the exchange, the in-game dollar all has a value to it, which means that you're actually obtaining an ROI on all your stakes of all these buildings. This is going to be incredibly important, and it's one of the most bullish things that I've seen on this map to date. Because if you think about it, even though it can be variable on how much mafia is going to be required maybe down the road to stake in each building, it is taking mafia off the market and it's putting it to work. So it's essentially allowing you to stake, and these stakes are not going to have, as far as I'm aware, aren't going to have any sort of a time minimum. So you can essentially put your assets to work, earning you in-game cash or an ROI while you play the game on the side. I think that's very cool. And also a special shout out and thanks to Jacob for putting in the tool to allow me to collect all my yield in one push of the button. Appreciate that.
No problem, man. That was obviously a very needed feature, and it was also planned all along. But I knew that it wouldn't be really necessary until people had some time to claim and build. So I had it like a lower priority thing to get done. But as you know, very, very powerful tool, because Some people own a lot of tiles, and they're speculating on grabbing a lot of land, and then over time, I expect that this scenario we're in right now will not continue for a long time. This might be news to a lot of people, but there's not really a big benefit of owning hundreds of tiles versus owning 10, right? Because if you think about it, where are you sleeping, right? Are you sleeping in 10 houses at a time, or can you only sleep in one house at a time, right? Only one asset, only one house will ever protect you at a time. Everything else is simply a strategy or a speculative investment. You will only earn the defense values of one house at a time, which automatically will be the highest one. So there's no scenario where you just own the entire map and you're invincible. But you might do this so that you can control a strategy, or you can offload them to others on the market, or you can speculate on their value, or you can easily control who comes into your map, you know. Um, and I think, or I would hope, that over time, these speculative investments, such as what Gifford has done here, will obviously, I hope, they would pay off in spades for him. Simply because he's able to offload them to other players who need them, right? Because otherwise he will just sit there as a gatekeeper of a city, basically. And trust me when I say nobody is going to want that. Because I'm going to build this game in a way where you need other people in your city. Nobody can just control a city. That won't be beneficial for anyone. Just as in the real world, you want visitors, you want tourists, you want people to come to your city and do business. And it's not super appealing just to own everything, right? So while what he has done here, and by the way, many others, it's not wrong, and I think it's probably smart, but it will not stay this way. That is for sure.
Yep. That's a good point. I love that. I mean, you want travel to happen, right? You want interaction to happen. You want to ruffle feathers in the wrong neighborhood, right? You want to, what Jacob loves to do is stir the pot a little bit, right?
Yeah,
And
Absolutely.
that's good for the whole protocol. This is all important. Yep, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is there still land for sale? Like, what? Yes, go through that real quick too. Like the families that are there, how does the land? A lot of it's been acquired and staked. And all that stuff.
Already,
How does that work?
when someone, right, you can click on the map and see what is directly available to claim, but you can always find good offers on the marketplace. So many of these you're looking at are probably right now for sale on the market, right? So that is also probably a part of why people rush to just get the ownership of them. Just like your early interest into an ICO or something, where you get the supply and then you can sell it later on, right? That's probably the same here, I would guess. That if you click on the map on top, you're able to see which city has available tiles. Yeah. And I think it's only one on PulseChain. It's only one city where there are, well, basically these on the left side, you can see here in Messina, this is the protocol that is now selling these tiles. So there's roughly 326 left in one city. Every other city is now fully owned by users. But that doesn't mean you can't buy them. You're probably just paying a premium because someone else came before you, right? And if you go to the marketplace as well, you would probably be able to find a lot of offers on map tiles, and they can have different prices based on the rarity or the development level, or any other metric, strategic metric, or what it might be. You can click on a filter called land slots, and I think in the bottom, yeah, and then you will only see those. So here are users who claimed them, and they are already listing them at a higher premium price simply because there isn't any more to claim. Now we are in a scarce situation, right? And when adoption happens, what I would like to see is basically that, imagine we have 1 million users. I think that when you only have 7,000 pieces of land and you only have 8 times 10 families, it will actually be a rarity to even be a family member. it will be a rarity to be such a big player that you even own a piece of land, That's where I want this to go. So at some point in the future, we are going to have this massive group of people who are just, individuals running around doing crazy shit all the time. And then you have the organized ones who are the families. Those are kind of the gatekeepers on all of the significant parts, right? And keeping order and all of these things. And they are the ones who are now sitting on the land and doing all of that. That's what I would like to see down the road when the real adoption comes. Because right now we have 1,000 players. That's nothing. This game here already deserves like 100 times that. And we will get there. In my mind, I would just like to build this game so good before I start focusing on marketing that the conversion rate is as high as possible, basically. And also timing, with the markets and the cycle and all of that.
And on the staked, so ST Mafia, that staked mafia, is that mafia that's been staked by the family that's locked up?
This is the family bank only. That actually doesn't involve the map tile stakes. You can see, if you click on the map, you can see how much it's staked in the map as well, just to basically earn the inflation and also to enable the wall payout. Yeah. So this is in addition to that. And remember that the Mafia token is hard capped at 1 billion, and there will never be any more. We are only going down from there. And we are building more and more use cases for this, not only to get locked up, but to get spent, burned, whatever, right? And well, I've been a developer for a long time, and I know when I see a good use case. And gamers wanting to one-up each other or kill each other to steal their money, that's a hell of a good use case for burning a token with a cap supply. So this is going to be interesting.
Wow. I know, like I said, the narrative, the tech side, I mean, just again, the will to build and interesting stuff too. Pretty interesting project for sure. Wow.
Thank you, Max. Honestly, I as I've been a developer for a long time, and at this point, I'm at a point in time in my life where I really want to take pride in what I do. I could sit here and spit out meme coins at a daily rate if I wanted to, but that doesn't do anything for me personally. I'm way past that. I need to build utility that benefits not only the chain, but makes people want to use my products. That's what drives me. That's what makes me happy, outside of my family and stuff. But from a professional point of view, that's what makes me happy, makes me get up in the morning and make the next 10 functions or features or whatever. That is the only way that I can look myself in the mirror, is because I build proper products. I want to build unique stuff. I want to build stuff that makes sense and not just fills people with empty promises, such as unsustainable yield or simply just Ponzi's that shuffle funds around based on your timeline of investment. That is at this point in time, I hate that so much. And I'm disappointed about how much attention that kind of stuff still gets to this state. When I have a unique vision, a unique way of looking into all of these things, simply because of my experience and my knowledge with all of this stuff, right? But I don't want to name drop anything, but there's just so much of these. Humans have this flaw that when something is just outrageously too good, they want to gamble on it. They don't take that as a, hey, I should probably stay away. They take that almost as a challenge to, hey, what if it works this time? What if it works this time? So elephant money with 100k 100k return rate, 100% on your year-over-year investment, obviously someone like me and GIF and many other competent people knows that that's gonna end bad, right? And anyone really should know that that's gonna end bad. But But it just seems to me that we as humans just constantly, it's like it's the apple in the garden, we just cannot stop eating from it. We want to throw our money away on these insane lottery tickets. And I'm just at a point in my life where I feel like I want to be the opposite to that. I want to build something that is so truly based on utility that at some point I hope that humans will start craving that. They're so fed up with this unsustainable yield ponzi's that is everywhere, that now we want to focus on that, what is actually real, what is actually providing a service where a user wants to pay a fee for doing something. I can tell anyone who's listening right now, if you want a very good tip on how to judge a project, look for one thing. Does the protocol offer you a way to pay a fee where you are willingly giving up that fee to get a function? If you can say yes to that, it's probably a good product. It's probably, but if the product is, hey, deposit this so you can take out more, in 14 days, then it doesn't pass the smell test. You need something where users pay a fee, they are willing to give up that fee, they don't expect that fee back, right? Just the same way as with Ethereum. Every time you make a transaction, do you expect to get that gas back? No, because the transaction was the utility. If you anyone who's listening to what I'm saying now, try to incorporate that into how you judge projects. Because when you truly understand that small but so important concept, that's when you're able to identify what will be here in 10 years and what will take your money in the next 6 months. Okay.
Well said. Yeah, it's. I mean, a lot of people are here for entertainment and gambling, and some people are here for building and investing. And I wish everyone the maddest of gains, but boy, there's some interesting plays out there.
Let's not sleep on the the slot machine and the roulette table in Vegas. You can come to my neck of the woods, and do you want to talk about that a little bit, Jacob, on what we
Absolutely
may down the road?
So right now we are entering the 8th and the 9th phase of the launch, which is the marketing DAO and the open for business phase. Those two are actually right now getting developed simultaneously, simply because the marketing DAO is quite easy for us to execute quickly. But the open for business is going to be quite interesting, because that is when all of these business owners inside of the game will start to reap some of the benefits of their investment or owning these businesses. And as you know, many of you listening, that we have different types of businesses. It can either be bullet factories, it can be hospitals, but it can also be a roulette or a slot machine. And what we're going to do is essentially take all of the tech that we have from our full-on gambling projects, and we are going to incorporate that directly into the Mafia protocol. But in this case, you can only gamble with the in-game cash. So as any mobster in the real life, he could go and rob, a hot dog vendor, and then go straight to the casino and put it all on red. And sometimes he gets away with the double, and other times, the house took it all. And in this case, GIF is probably going to be that house a couple of times. But what we have done here that is very interesting is that we have made it in a way where if the house cannot pay your win, the player who won is automatically going to resume the ownership of that asset. So imagine that I go to GIF's roulette table and I bet $1 million in-game cash on, black 8, and magically it lands. If GIF does not have 36 million in-game cash ready for me to pay out, well, goodbye roulette asset. It's now mine, Because he couldn't pay me, I was automatically transferred that as a payment. And now what will happen? GIF will say, hey, he will write me a message, say, hey, this is my asset. Let me arrange some payment options and I'll give you your price, but I expect you to send the asset back. And then I can sit there and say, hey, I won it fair and square, and actually I would actually like to be a roulette owner because it has a high return of investment and crazy players betting all the time. And then GIF would be like, hey, do I accept that? I'm a 10 times more powerful player than you. And then he will send me a threat saying, if you don't send me that table back in the next 10 minutes, sorry, I would kill you, and then just simply take it that way. And then I have a decision to make, am I going to take that threat seriously? Am I going to, just bow down and just return it? Or am I going to play my odds that he's bluffing? There's going to be so many interesting scenarios where that is going to play out, and we are going to release this functionality within the next 30 days. And
Wow.
I know how powerful all gambling is. Trust me, I know firsthand. And incorporating multiple gambling options straight inside this protocol is going to be incredible. Because what's going to happen now is that already now you can steal others' money, other people's money through basically gambling directly against them, right? If I go and place a big bet on Gibbs' roulette table, I can completely deplete him from money if I'm lucky, right? Or I can lose all my money to him. And that little powerful mechanic is in itself such a interesting psychology that you can cause someone else harm, someone who is probably already your enemy. You can cripple them through gambling. And that is significantly more powerful than anyone is going to think right now. It is so underestimated. And you will see, all of you will see.
Real quick, before we wrap up, a question from Paul. Any new developments coming for PulsePot?
Absolutely. We have a Signum Oracle that is being actively developed. Unfortunately, it doesn't really have any RNG possibility that's relevant for us. But as far as my communication with Stu, he is actively working on reducing the time delay from 15 minutes to something that actually makes sense, right? Because nobody is going to place a bet on red and then waiting 15 minutes to figure out if they won or lost. We need it at minimum at block level, I would say. So at roughly a 10-second delay on a bet is doable. Still, imagine you're on a slot machine and you can only click every 10 seconds. I know some people who would be disappointed about that even, right? But hey, we are developing on a blockchain, and that does have constraints, and it will forever have that. It is not a centralized SQL server, so we have this limitation because of that. But at the same time, we are enjoying all of the benefits from it as well. PulsePot will have a lot of updates coming, and we just have to get the real RNG before we can proceed. As I've said before, I'm not here to rush it so that I risk the user funds. I would rather take it slow and wait for the proper infrastructure on PulseChain to actually arrive.
Okay. And GIF, I'd be remiss in the GIF first if I didn't ask any GIF updates, any otherwise things upcoming or stuff you want to share there before we wrap up.
Nothing that is public just yet. No, sorry guys. No updates.
Did I say 12 words or less? Thank you for that. You can continue to talk. You have at least 3 more minutes to say anything. I'm just kidding. If you're not ready,
okay, let me ask you, Max. What do you think about what we are building here? You've seen your fair share of projects, right? What do you think?
I think it has more utility than a meme coin, and I tend to be more interested in things like that. And yeah, it is kind of refreshing to see something that's actually, again, you got the game, you got the map, you got the vault, all of the different pieces. You said earning wages and stuff like that. I mean, there's a ton of different components to it that are super interesting. And I feel like we spent like this stream been over an hour, and could have talked, for several hours on it for all the different pieces. So I think if you like the tech and or you like games and or you like playing games to win money and stuff, like I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems super interesting to me. Again, that's why we're on here talking about it again for the second time. I was like, okay, cool. I like that. I'm in it. If you're in it for the tech, then if nothing else, is something to pay attention to.
Appreciate that. And just another simple little fact, but interesting as well, is that I just looked over our contracts. We have this game consists of right now of 17 unique contracts working together to provide this experience. Just our inventory contract has done 75,000 transactions. For you to have a successful layer 1 blockchain, this is what you need, right? If you want 50,000 validators, not just throwing away electricity or a node subscription to some sort of cloud hosting, well, you need activity, you need volume, you need transactions, you need gas being paid, right? And even though a lot of maxis, they are what they are, but if you think your 15-year stake with a start and an end makes anyone happy on a layer 1, sorry, they won't, and they will not drive this chain to success. This product here is what will drive a chain to success. That's a fact, and this is what we need, both from an adoption point of view, but also from a usage point of view, right? We need an insane amount of transactions, and all of our contracts are doing that right now. And I truly believe that the more we can build these kind of things is how we benefit all of the important metrics of PulseChain. Because I know the price is one, but underneath that, there's so many other metrics that are important for a healthy ecosystem, both for validators, both for users, and for builders. We need all of it. And we need stuff like this happening on the chain, and we need all sorts of stuff, but especially something like this that is a powerhouse for transactions where users pay that gas fee to keep the decentralization honest. That is extremely important.
Yeah, we need an insane amount of great projects on chain to complement the core coins. I definitely would like to see that on PulseChain. And again, we've got a ton of projects, ton of builders, but I really think hopefully this year things will really come together. Maybe the macros, maybe the community, maybe all the fun stuff like that, and we'll see all the building that's been taking place come to fruition. Like, oh yeah, all those things that we said were really bullish, oh, they're actually coming true. Imagine that. So I certainly hope so. Happy 2025, everyone. We're in January. Let's go. Anyways, that is absolutely all the time we have for today. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, gents. Colt, last words. We'll start with you and go down the bottom. Where can people find you, and what do you want to take us out on?
Okay. Thanks, Max. Thanks very much. Really for having us on. It's been great. If anyone wants to get in touch with us first, I mean, obviously join the Telegrams. I would say join Telegrams, get in touch with the community, t.me/PLS Mafia or t.me/BNB Mafia game. You can find me, Cult DeFi, pretty much everywhere. It is just Cult DeFi on X, on Telegrams, on Twitch, whatever, wherever you are. My door is always open. If anyone has any questions about this game, feel free to get in touch. My DMs are open. I'll answer any questions that I can. If I can't, I'll endeavor to find an answer for you. This game is it's just heating up. Like Jacob said, in the next 30 days now, we have more components to the launch phases. I think we're kind of on the bit of the home stretch at the moment, and so get your characters, get involved. If you want to join a family, have a look at joining a family. The safety in numbers in the game, right? Do that. GIF is, I know his gearheads are actively recruiting all the time. If it's the thing that you want to join the game and join a family, do it. I mean, ask the right questions and the right family will find you at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to piggyback on that, because I was going to go to my recruitment. Come to pulsemafia.io, right? And you could find us. We're the Gearheads family. You open up our Gearheads family, you'll see our socials there, and you can connect with me on either Telegram or on X. It's just Giffordware, right, on both platforms, so very easy to find. But if you've got more questions and maybe you've got some technical questions, I'm your guy. Come talk to me on the technical stuff. I'll be happy to go with it all and explain all the different dynamics of this game. And I would love to recruit you and come join the family, like the Olive Garden. When you're here,
you went out of turn, but I'll accept it. Hey, the soup salad and breadsticks for it used to be like $7.99. That was the best deal. I don't know if it's probably like $42.99 with inflation, but it used to be.
Correct.
Great. Shout out to Olive Garden. Jacob, what do you want to take us out on?
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming today and listening, and especially thank you Max as well. You know, us builders, we can build all we want, but if there's nobody to put eyes on what we do, you know, what does it matter, right? So everyone in this ecosystem is an important part of what we do here, trying to bring forward this chain and this entire industry. Thank you for allowing us to come here and have this discussion today. I truly appreciate, and to anyone listening, if you think that gaming can become an even larger segment than it already is, and if you think that blockchain and gaming has a future together, I'm going to build the world's biggest blockchain game you've ever seen. And if you want to be a part of that, it's not too late. Get in and get on the journey, and I'll see you soon enough.
I like the ambition too. Yeah. Again, lots of. I really hope this is the year for. We keep saying this is the year for PulseChain. This is the year for projects and everything just popping off in this ecosystem, just going nuts. So I certainly hope so. Well, whether you're having a delicious dinner or lunch at Olive Garden, or you're fasting with green tea like I am, that's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.